Somebody out there can't believe that this many gamers care about a performance mode, or at least that is the title of Stacy Henley's article over on thegamer.com. I can't believe this many of you care about a performance mode, writing an article in reaction to the recent announcement and the subsequent reaction from gamers that were upset as Redfall will not launch with a performance mode on consoles. Now, or on Xbox consoles. I do believe it is an Xbox exclusive and PC as well. Assumingly PC will be able to play it well over 60 frames, I'm sure, as the game doesn't look that difficult to drive. But it will be getting a performance mode post-launch. It's just something, I guess they didn't have their priorities in the right area. And honestly, I don't think it's inexcusable, honestly, that the performance mode isn't ready for launch. If it's not ready for launch, then the game's not ready to launch, honestly, in my personal opinion. And unless they've given a very, very firm timeline on when gamers can expect to see that performance mode, I'd honestly wait off on purchasing it if I was a console gamer. Because I do play on PS5. I own a console. I play on PS5, but I only play games that are 60 frames per second, honestly, because it is a big deal to me, and it's a big deal to a lot of us out there. So the fact that Stacy Henley can't believe that this many of us would care about a performance mode and make some ridiculous accusations in this article and insulting gamers by calling them dorks and insinuating that some people are reacting to this just to react, and not that they even give a shit about a performance mode. Like, who the hell is doing that? Who is reacting just for the sake of reacting to be cool? I mean, it pretty much kicks off right off the bat with right underneath the title. She says Redfall won't launch with performance mode, and that's a loss. But it's okay if you don't really mind. Don't worry about your gamer card. So sort of like throwing it out there like, oh, don't worry about your fucking street cred. Not all the cool kid gamers on your Xbox Live aren't going to think you're some fucking loser if you don't care about 60 FPS. That is the insinuation here from Stacy Henley, who can't believe that many of you care about a performance mode. And you know what I can't believe? I can't believe that you still have that hideous activation mark in the corner of your screen on your desktop PC. So let's help you out with that today with my buddies CDKS.TOP, who have lots of great deals on games, as well as software like Windows 10, Office 365, and Windows 11, the recently or somewhat recently released, the latest version of Windows, for just $27, a lot cheaper than you'll find at retail. So if you add one of those to your cart and then go to checkout and use my code, you'll actually get an additional 25% off at checkout with my code MEWA. Go ahead and apply that, and it's going to knock our price down from $27 all the way down to $18.90. So be sure to hit up those links down in the description below over to CDKS.TOP. I almost said .com at the end. It's CDKS.TOP. Coupon code MEWA. That'll get you 25% off your software. So go check them out. Back to the story at hand here. I wanted to go through this article and sort of react to some of the things that Stacy Henley said in this article and some other things that she said in other articles. It starts to sort of paint a picture of the type of person, or journalist, I should say, that Stacy Henley of thegamer.com actually is. So she does some, prefacing at the beginning, talking about some things about how the game won't be launching with a performance mode. And then goes on to say, my colleague Eric Switzer has already put forward his case that all viewpoints are valid in this. Eric points out that after over a decade of playing high-end PC shooters, combined with an avid interest in film, has made distinguishing between frame rates not only instinctive, but disorienting. To play with a low frame rate is even nausea-inducing, and this is something I can totally relate to, as I have definitely had some of those feelings with in certain games when it comes to FOV. Not so much frame rate, but I do have friends that have told me about this, and it's a very real phenomenon. It's a real thing that some people experience, and I've also even had some friends on the other end of it who actually prefer games at like 60 FPS, and they don't like high refresh rate monitors because they think it's too fast. Now, this isn't so much of an issue with consoles, as there are very few games now that support higher refresh rate displays like 120 hertz and stuff. So on PC, we talk about it a lot, but even that is a thing. So yeah, low frame rate can be nausea inducing, but that's not even, to say that is the only issue with a low frame rate is a little disingenuous because there are a lot of other people out there who don't like low frame rates, not because it gives them nausea, but because it's genuinely unpleasant to play a lot of games like that, especially a first-person shooter like Redfall, where aiming and responsiveness is some of the core tenets of a good first-person shooter, and you need that responsiveness. And the higher the frame rate is, the more data you're seeing visually, and the quicker the response is of the game to your actions, shooting, moving, whatever. It's all going to be a lot quicker, a lot more fluid, and it's just going to be a better experience overall. And if I had to play Redfall at 30 FPS, guess what? I wouldn't fucking play Redfall. It would be a non-starter, wouldn't even be on my list, wouldn't care in the slightest. But the fact that she thinks that you can only not like 30 FPS if you get nauseous from it is pretty much absurd. She then goes on to say that she doesn't think Eric is lying about this, either about his oblivious partner, which she was talking about at TV, or his 30 FPS induced sickness, but I do think that some of you are. And she also goes on to say that she's not defending this as a good idea, not having the performance mode in the game, but she thinks that most players won't notice. And sure, that's a fair point to make. I'm sure there are a lot of very casual gamers out there that won't care at all about 30 frames per second in the game, and it doesn't have a performance mode. And I'm sure there are a lot of very casual gamers that don't even know what a performance mode is, or maybe if it didn't prompt them when they first started the game, they might not even go into the options menu to see if there is a performance mode or a fidelity mode that they might want to toggle between to make their decision to play a given game based on what they personally value in their game, whether they want the responsiveness and the fluidity or the better visuals and are comfortable with having a lower frame rate. That really hurt my knuckle. But I'm glad she doesn't think Eric is lying about this and that he is completely making this up, which is sadly not how she feels about the rest of gamers. As she goes on to say, some of you will though. Some of you will get a headache and be unable to play when the game slows down. Sure, most of you are just saying it because it's the cool thing, but it's not cool. It's incredibly dorky. Are you serious, Stacy? That's what you're saying. Most of us are saying it because it's the cool thing. It's the cool thing, apparently, to say that the game needs a performance mode. Apparently, I must be the cool kid now, but it's not cool. It's dorky. So we're all a bunch of big fucking dorks. Thanks, Stacy. Thank you for insulting us and, using a very insulting term, honestly, to go ahead and call us a bunch of dorks because we like higher frame rates and you don't. Even when earlier in the article you just said all opinions are valid, but you're devaluing other people's opinions without any factual basis to back up whether or not they're inventing that they want a high frame rate to be cool in the eyes of other gamers, apparently, and keep their gamer cards. Cool story, bro. She goes on to give us her resume. I've been playing video games for 2 decades and I've spoken to lots of people who are similarly obsessed with games, be they journalists, content creators, developers, or regular players. We've discussed so many topics down the years, ranging from writing to level design, from art style to photo mode, from forgotten classics to fresh greats. Not once has someone voluntarily introduced the topic of frame rates. People just don't care until something like this is mentioned. Horseshit, hornswoggle. Just because you hang out with a bunch of fucking journalists and filthy fucking casuals doesn't mean that it's not a real conversation. Just because it's not in your lexicon and it doesn't happen in your fucking circles doesn't mean that it's not a real issue, okay, Stacy? Let's get that fucking clear right there. Redfall, like Arcane's last game, Deathloop, is far more popular among journalists. Where is she getting this than the general population? Are you just assuming this? Do you just play games and you're just like, oh yeah, this is a good journalist game, but real gamers, they're probably going to think it's shit and just, downvote it on Metacritic and on Steam because they're a bunch of fucking dork losers living in their mom's basement. This is the type of person we're dealing with here. She's making just broad assumptions about a large group of people without zero evidence to back it up, just because that's what she thinks. It's what she thinks. She goes on to say, and repeated bad press and disappointing footage have seen it take quite the kicking. The frame rate debacle is another mark against it, and I have no skin in the game to defend it. I thought Deathloop was only okay. Well, thanks for your opinion on that one. And Redfall isn't even my most anticipated Xbox exclusive this year. She's looking forward to Hellblade, not Starfield. Not surprised about this at all, that she's looking to Hellblade, a game with a feminine protagonist. We'll get into that in just a moment. And then she finishes off the article by saying, I just don't think this is as big a deal as many if you are making it out, it's okay not to care. It doesn't matter if you can't really tell. It does matter if you can't really tell, but act like you can, because that's loser behavior. That's like the only thing I would agree on there, is that if you can't tell and you're saying, and you're making an issue about it when it's not an issue that bothers you, that is kind of losery, honestly. Why would you make a stink just to be cool? But I don't think that's happening. The likelihood that people are out there inventing, an opinion about this just to be a part of the conversation is pretty insane. I think a lot of people are looking forward to this game, even though she thinks only journalists want to play it and not the general population. But the reason it's getting the bad press for it is because a lot of people want to play this game. Redfall is definitely, I would say, in the top 5 most anticipated games of the year. It's in the top 5. I'm not saying it's at the top of it, but it's certainly top 5, top 10, game out there of games coming out this year, like the sequel to Hellblade, like Starfield, and other games that are coming out this year, Assassin's Creed Mirage, and many other games that are coming out. It's on the list of games that are definitely highly anticipated this year for gamers and journalists and content creators and everyone in between, not just journalists, the bubble that Stacy Henley apparently lives in. Stacy Henley, who, writes a lot of articles. She's written 2,053 articles since 2021, and she's listed as the editor-in-chief over on thegamer.com. So obviously she's written a lot about gaming, and she's in the gaming world, and she is a gamer herself. Great. But I think she may be very limited in terms of the people that she interacts with in the gaming space, and has only surrounded herself with people like her, and basically I would say journalists and very casual casual gamers that maybe don't care about this stuff. Or maybe she's just doing it to get rage and clickbait out of people, like her other banger of an article. I just don't like her as a person, which is fine, it's okay. I don't like her articles, I should say. I can't say that I don't like her as a person because I've never met her. I don't like her articles and the things that she insinuates, like Brie Larson is the MCU's last movie star. I'm not going to read this whole article like the last one, but to you guys on camera, but I did read this entire article, and it is fucking absurd. It is so fucking stupid to think that Brie Larson is the MCU's last movie star. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not particularly interested in the MCU anymore. I've gotten a little exhausted with all of the content and the TV shows for the MCU. And yeah, Robert Downey Jr. is not really in it anymore, and neither is Chris Evans from the Captain America character. Some spoiler alerts there. But they still have Tom Holland. Deadpool is now officially part of MCU canon, and Ryan Reynolds is the star of it and will be doing a 3rd movie with Hugh Jackman, who plays Wolverine. The new movie that Brie Larson's in, The Marvels, is a sequel to the Captain Marvel movie, which I actually enjoyed, even though I do not like Brie Larson. As a person, I disagree with pretty much everything she says. I don't like a lot of the feminist shit that she throws out there without any evidence whatsoever. Very much a Stacy Henley type person with some of the things she says. And she seems genuinely disliked by all of her cast members whenever they do group interviews for the MCU and Avenger films. But I think it's funny, again, that she says Brie Larson is the MCU's last movie star, and she goes on in this article, a real movie star is someone that fills seats, not just an actor. Just few people that fill seats. I find that funny when her co-star, or someone that's in a lot of the MCU movies but was very prominent in the Captain Marvel movie, is Samuel L. Jackson, who will be in the sequel, The Marvels, starring Brie Larson. So is Samuel L. Jackson not a movie star? Is Ryan Reynolds not a movie star? What about Hugh Jackman? Florence Pugh is joining the MCU. Tom Holland as Spider-Man. All of these people are huge actors in the MCU. Paul Rudd as Ant-Man. Like, all of these actors will fill seats, and people will go see them. Guardians of the Galaxy is the next Marvel movie coming out around the corner. Look at the cast of actors in that. Chris Pratt fills seats. He fills all the seats in all the Jurassic Park movies, okay? There's other movie stars in the MCU, you fucking dumb journalist. I wanted to say something else, but man, this woman is just looking for backlash. Honestly, I really think that might be the case. Bradley Cooper, another one in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. Batista's in it. He's not like a big, movie star, like where like you go see a movie just because Batista's in it. Maybe you would if it looked good. But I wouldn't necessarily go out of my way to see a movie just because Batista's in it, even though I am a WWE fan. But I would totally go see a movie because Ryan Reynolds is in it. or Chris Pratt or Samuel L. Jackson. I would absolutely go see Snakes on the Plane too, because it's got Sam Jackson in it, and I know he's going to say there's motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and I'll catch you next time for another video. Peace out to you, and fuck Stacy Henley. She dumb. Ignorant, really.